for you as an actress? Because when you have one person playing the dual roles, that's always a bit of a challenge. So I just was wondering, what was your thoughts on playing both yourself and a clone of you?
Well, the only difficulties that I had with the clone was that in reality, she, because of the rapid growth serum that they introduced so that I could play both characters, in reality, she would have had the brain of a week-old child because she, they aged this poor clone so fast with the rapid growth serum that, so I tried to give her an innocent kind of naivety quality to the clone, but yet they were writing her to have sex scenes with Josh and to do all of this adult stuff. So, I would struggle with that. I'd say, how does she know the lyrics to Bewitched, Bothered, and Bedazzled? How does she know some of the stuff you're asking her to know when she's, a month old?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Seriously.
Yeah, indeed. I should point out that indirectly, your 5-year gap from the Guiding Light in terms of the storyline also led to the introduction of Crystal Chappelle's Olivia Spencer, and I was just wondering, because the 5-year gap in between between saying I'm coming by driving off the bridge and coming and rising, Reva found herself on the island of San Cristobal, married a prince, and had a kid named Jonathan, all the while thinking she was somebody else. And then 4 years later, 1999, Crystal Chappelle shows up as they reintroduce San Cristobal. I was wondering, what were your thoughts on them taking what they had written during your hiatus 4 years previously and tying that into the debut of a new character?
Well, I kept pitching my own stories, and they wouldn't buy them. What I really wanted Reva to have been doing, there was a movie that I used to love that Gina Davis starred in called, now I can't even remember what it was called, but she had amnesia, and it turned out that she was an assassin. And I loved 100 Nights or something it was called. I can't really remember what it was. But I always thought it would be interesting to have explored the fact that Reva was a trained assassin when she returned to Springfield, and that she would just assassinate all the bad people in Springfield, and no one would know it was her because she was Reva Shane.
I'm sorry, that would have been interesting.
You wouldn't buy that?
No, I'm sorry. I would have buy Olivia as a nun before that, which ties into my other question. The 10,000th Guiding Light. You're on the lighthouse. You faint. You come to, and what happens? You've got the Spauldings where the Coopers should be. You've got the Coopers where the Spauldings should be, and you've got Olivia as a nun. Now, with Olivia's character during that time, if you would know what Olivia was going through at that point, much like Reva, you would have been like, the hell's going on? So what I want to ask you, this was the 10,000 show, by the way, and I wanted to ask you, what was it like to, go through the Freaky Friday plot, basically?
Oh, I think there were some of us that really enjoyed those. You mean when it focused on a single character?
Well, no, I meant the one where Reva
wasn't there Britt? I just called you Britt. Kim, wasn't there?
You answer this question, Robert, because I would do stories and forget them.
I can't. I can't.
But anyways,
I think that wasn't there one episode, Kim, where we all sort of switched roles. And
I remember the episode.
Yeah, that's what he's asking you about. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I remember the episode. I don't remember what I did in it. Sorry, but I don't.
Right. All I remember was that the storyline.
That storyline was during Kim Zimmer's dark time on Guiding Light. Let's just put it that way.
I just thought it was especially funny, like I said, to see Olivia as a nun. If you remember what the character was going through at that point, this was a year before Natalia showed up. This was 3 years before they fell in love, so she was still kind of in that, kind of that arrogant man crazy sort of thing. Although I think this was around the time she found out she got raped by Jeffrey. But anyways, that was kind of I like how when you have the soap operas, I like it when they change things up. I like it when they do things that are different, from the norm, like aligning yourself with Marvel Comics anyways. I know there's a lot of callers, but I did just want to ask one question to Robert.
Yes, he loved kissing Crystal Chappelle.
I preferred her kissing Jessica Lucia, but anyways, your relationship, I should say, Josh and Reva were the major couple. Let's face it, for the better part of 26 years. Even when you guys were with other people, there was a pull between the two of you. When Guiding Light ended, last shot was Josh, Reva, and little boy Colin in the truck going off to parts unknown. She says the word always. Do you think that was the best way for the show to go out?
I don't think that. I think they did an okay job with that last show. I think the idea of going to, like 1 year from now was a good idea. I think anybody could sit back and sort of armchair quarterback and write their last episode and what it should be. But I do think it's fair to say that that last shot, I'm not sure about the kid, but Josh and Reva together at the lighthouse, sort of driving off into wherever, I think that was pretty much exactly how the show should end. And I think the word always was a good choice on the part of the writers for the last word of the show. So I'm not sure if that answers your question completely.
Oh, it answers my question.
I think it was. I think there's 10 ways to write things, and I think that was as good as any that I could probably think of. Josh and Reva riding off into the sunset.
I agree. When you have 72 years of history, how do you bring it to a close? You take two beloved couples who had been through hell and back, finally coming together, realize that they belong together, and you have them driving off into the sunset, and just like the classic fairy tale, you have the words "the end" come up. That brought me to a tear more than anything else, because it was like it was a storybook romance, and you have a storybook ending. When you have seven decades of material and love and respect for everybody, and you come and you say those words, that was pretty moving.
Well, I remember a few months before that. I think maybe even a year before that, I had my contract was coming up, and I had a negotiation that I was going through, and I really was, and I knew the show was sort of, lumbering to an end. We hadn't gotten a notice yet, but I felt like it was coming. And I was contemplating leaving the show at that time. A contract was done. It was like, maybe it's time for me to let go now and move on. And I remember saying to my wife at one point, I think I want to be there for that last episode. I think I want to be there when this show is done. I've invested, 28 years of my life into this show. I think I need to be there if and when it ends. And assuming it's ending in the next 10 years, but I think I need to be there. And then I also remember doing an interview a couple months. It was well before the ending was written. And they said, how do you see the last show? And I said, well, I don't know where Josh and Reva are going to be in their relationship. I don't know where she's going to be with, I want to say Richard, with Jeffrey. I don't know where Josh is going to be. But I'm guessing the last scene of the show will involve Josh and Reva at a lighthouse. And it did, and I guess even then I was thinking that's pretty much how the show should end. That's how it should be.
That was great. That was definitely.
I often have fans ask me on the street, what are Josh and Reva doing now?
Yeah.
And I think, well, and of course I'm thinking, first of all, well, they're not real, so I don't know. I mean, they don't really, they're not doing anything because they're not, people.
Nobody's writing.
But,
Nobody's putting words in our mouth.
But I love that. I love the idea that, I remember reading a thing about The Sopranos when it went off the air, and I remember the writers saying how sad that people were that they weren't going to be able to, that it was as if the lives were going to go on of these people, but we weren't going to be able to watch anymore. And I think that's what a lot of the fans experience, that as if Josh and Reva's life has continued on, but they can't watch anymore. So where are they today, you know? And, you know, I get fans all the time. The lady today that I was talking to in Costco was really emotional about it, you know. She was sad that her favorite characters weren't on the air anymore. And it's been a difficult journey for her to let go of these people that she loved.
I can understand that completely. And by the way, also for the record, the film style you guys used for the last year and a half, the on-camera, the more on-location stuff you didn't feedback. I say this to every person that worked on Guiding Light in the last year and a half. I loved it. Not a lot of people loved it, but I loved it because it was a documentary feel. You know, you used real locations and real sets and buildings and everything. You made you feel like you were on a fly on a wall to real people and real events, which was different than what was on soaps at the time. You guys have been innovators for 7 decades, and I loved it. I'm sad that, you know, that's how that the show ended, but I'm happy that at least it bought you another year and a half. I told Dan, great, who played. I told Ron Raines. Space it for a second. I told Ron Raines when I talked to him, I would rather you guys end at 72 than end at 70. So I'm happy that you at least, you know, went over the 7-decade mark.
No, thank you. Thank you very much for your comments. I appreciate that. Thank you.
I appreciate you guys. Good luck in whatever you guys do, and you'll have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thanks for calling in, Dom.
All right, up next we have Sunday.
Real quick,
you're on with Kim and Robert.
Just real quick before we get...
Wait,
never
Robert,
mind. Go ahead. Hi. How are you? What's your name again?
Sunday.
Hi, Sunday. Sunday. How are you, Sunday?
It's so fitting. It's so fitting that you're possibly our last caller.
Isn't it, though? I think it's so fitting.
Hi, Sunday.
Okay, I have to say something about this caller. I actually know Sunday very well, and last night at the curtain call at our show in San Francisco, we're taking our bows, and somebody yells out in the house, Kim-zimmer! And I was like, oh my God, Sunday came here to surprise me for my birthday. I thought for sure. So I got done with the show, and I texted Sunday, and I said, are you in San Francisco?
Okay, seriously, I love you, but if I was there, you would have known it because we would have been out for drinks.
Well, that's what I said, because I said the minute I walked out the stage door, I would have seen you.
Yeah. Well, happy birthday tomorrow.
Thank you, Sunday.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Hey, Robert, how are you?
I'm okay, Sunday. How are you doing?
Lovely. I'm actually standing outside a bar on 50th and 9th in Manhattan, so I apologize for the noise. Oh, you're at Hibernia, too?
Look to your left right now.
But, okay, first of all, no offense to the host, but I disagree about Lindsay being Kim's daughter. Laura Bell Bundy was totally a Robert and Kim child, if ever there was a Kim and Robert child.
And that was my immediate, I think Robert and I both kind of went, Lindsay?
Yeah, it's totally Laura Bell Bundy.
Right. I couldn't agree more.
Who in reality, Kim, we might as well come clean, who in reality actually is our love child.
She is our love child, yes.
And this I kind of already knew. So, but the main reason I called, of course, was to wish you happy birthday tomorrow. And second of all,
and your flowers are beautiful.
Oh, thank you. And when is your CD coming out, Kim?
I hate you.
I love you. So when is that CD coming out? Because I need to get a few copies for some friends.
In about a year.
I think that's cool. You know what?
It's gonna be in the back of my second book. How's that?
Oh, okay. And when you end up on Broadway, you know, when, not if, when you end up on Broadway, I think you need to have a night and Robert come and all of us get together. Does that sound good?
Wouldn't that be fun? How's that sound to you, Robert?
Okay.
He's easy.
That's what I hear, but
I think Robert, you're still not afraid of these girls, are you?
Well, no more than I'm still afraid of you, Kim.